Let's get two today. One for me, one for you.
Oh, thank you.
I got the wife here.
Hello.
And we're talking about, what are we talking about? We're talking about EGG or EEG.
EEG in
they're
AI.
gonna be able to read your minds. That's what they're working on. That's what's coming. Joe Rogan's talking about it with Coleman Hughes, and we're going to get into that clip right away because this is a very interesting thing. I didn't know all of this existed to this extent. We're going to be showing you the Joe Rogan clip. Then we're going to be showing you a school where they're actually using this technology. Then we're going to go over an article in a factory where they're using this technology. So the working class they're working on, and the children. Just saying. Let's get into that clip right now. Before I do, you already know I am CoachColin.com. Hit it up. Get your sold not for sale shirts, hoodies, tank tops. We also have the public enemy #1 as well. Look up the World Economic Forum. You'll understand why. And if you want 10% off, just put in the discount code I am Coach Colin. Gets you 10% off. It is all capital letters, all one word, one L in the name Colin. Gets you 10% off. Let's get into it.
That allows you to elevate everything around you. But then again, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be all great. It's not going to be perfect. What are we going to lose? Are we going to lose blues? Are we going to lose the blues? Are we going to lose hip hop? What are we going to lose? Are we going to lose comedy? Are we going to lose violent movies? Are we going to lose fun? Are we going to lose bungee jumping? What are we going to lose? We're going to lose some things.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We're going to lose a lot of thrills and a lot of the chaos of life. You know, maybe all bars will close. Maybe people will completely stop drinking. What the fuck was I doing? You know, now I realize why I needed to release my inhibitions. And this is like all just like a thing I'm dealing with, a conflict, an internal conflict.
Right. So I had this lady, Nita Farahani, on my podcast probably a year ago. And then I met her at TED recently. And she wrote this book called The Battle for Your Brain. She's a professor, I'm forgetting the college, in somewhere in North Carolina, I think. Maybe Duke. Is that in North Carolina or South Carolina? Am I crazy?
Not sure. Which one is it? North?
So she just had this book, and she's, you know, she pays close attention to the current state and the near future state of mind reading technology. And I was absolutely blown away because I did not think that things were possible that are already happening in certain parts of the world. For example, she talked about a factory in China where they're able to through an ESG and like overscalp ESG scanner, determine whether someone is slacking off by the brain signals being sent from them.
Wow.
Right. And apparently it's even possible to simply have a tattoo like kind of behind your ear or somewhere on your face that gets enough of a signal, of an electrical signal from your brain that can then get enhanced to get actual brain readings, like to read your state of mind, essentially.
Just a tattoo?
Yeah.
Is that the mark of the beast?
I don't know. What's the
mark of the beast from the Bible?
Oh.
Well, so this.
Well, anyway, so like the full thing is to have a big cap on, right?
Okay.
And it gets ESG signals, and these signals get correlated through big data with states of mind. So you get enough data, you say, okay, this signal pattern means you're happy, this signal pattern means you're tired, this signal pattern means, etc. You get enough data of people talking with ESG and correlate it, perhaps using AI. Then you can get a signal in principle of what does the brain look like when someone is saying the sentence, I'm hungry for food or whatever. In principle, you can mind read with this, right? You can read if and this apparently has been done in India, according to Farahani. If you're in a courtroom and you ask a witness, have you seen this murder weapon before? They can lie, but there's a neural signature to recognition.
This has been, this is very controversial. This is fMRI, correct? Is that what we're talking about?
She's talking mostly about ESG.
ESG.
Yeah.
So I know that there was, when you brought up India, I know that there was a trial where someone was convicted of, I think the term was functional knowledge of the crime scene.
Right.
But I talked to a neuroscientist that said that would never fly over here.
Right.
And that it was something about the court system where this person was convicted that if you had, it's you remember when there was seismologists in Italy that were sued because they didn't accurately predict an earthquake? Do you remember that?
No.
See if you can find that. Yeah, there was they literally had to go to trial. They had to be acquitted because they were being accused of either negligence or some sort of I forget exactly what the charge was, but they were essentially not understanding seismology and the unpredictable nature of the movement of the earth. Italian seismologists cleared of manslaughter. So they were going to charge them with manslaughter. So 6 seismologists accused of misleading the public about the risk of an earthquake in Italy were cleared of manslaughter on 10th of November. An appeals court overturned their 6-year prison sentences and reduced to 2 years the sentence for a government official who had been convicted with them. So a magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck the historic town of L'Aquila in the early hours of 6 April 2009, killing more than 300 people. The findings by a 3-judge appeals court prompted many, I don't know how, I'm not saying that right, L'Aquila citizens who were waiting outside the courtroom to react with rage, shouting shame and saying that the Italian state had just acquitted itself, local media reported. But it comes as a relief to scientists around the world who had been following the unprecedented case with alarm. We don't have to be worried about the possibility of being prosecuted if we give advice on earthquakes, says seismologist Ian Main of University of Edinburgh, UK. That would discourage giving honest opinion. The defendants themselves have mixed feelings. Guido Selvaggi, former director of the National Earthquake Center in Rome, says that although he is happy to be acquitted, there's nothing to celebrate because the pain of the people of L'Aquila remains. The scientists that end up in court is a consequence of a botched communication in a highly stressed environment. In the months before the major earthquake struck, the region around L'Aquila had been subject to frequent, mostly low-magnitude tremors known as seismic swarms. Residents were confused and increasingly alarmed by statements made by a local amateur earthquake predictor who said that he had evidence of an impending quake, although geologists dismissed his methods as unsound. A commission of experts met on 31 March 2009 to assess the scientific evidence and advise the government. According to the prosecution, a press conference after this meeting attended by acting president of the commission, volcanologist Franco Barberi of the University of Roma Tre, and the government official Bernardo Di Bernardinis, then directly...
Parents with that name named their kid Bernardo.
Di Bernardinis. And then deputy director of the Italian Civil Protection Department conveyed a reassuring message that a major earthquake was not on the cards. Okay, so the earthquake happened, and so they charged these people with manslaughter. As a consequence, the television interview recorded shortly after the meeting, shortly before the meeting, but aired after it. Di Bernardinis, who is now president of the Institute for Environmental Research and Protection in Rome, says that the scientific community tells me there is no danger because there was an ongoing discharge of energy during the seismic swarm. As a consequence, according to the prosecution, when the earthquake struck on 6 April 2029, people chose to stay indoors instead of stepping outside as they otherwise would have done, and died as their homes collapsed. All 7 members of the expert commission were found guilty of manslaughter. And this is 2012. This is pretty recently, after a 13-month trial that transfixed the international scientific community. But I think, charging them with manslaughter is fucking crazy.
It's insane.
I don't think they're basing it on what they know about earthquakes. And earthquakes are unpredictable.
How predictable are earthquakes to begin with?
Not very predictable.
Yeah, that's what I was never under the impression that they could be predicted super easily.
Oh, brain scanning in Chinese factories probably doesn't work if it's happening at all. And this is, do you remember that video that we watched, Jamie? What was that from? Where the girl was sitting in her desk and she was having fantasies about a coworker and, was trying to not have these. And then someone in her office, because of their brain scanning, got convicted of fraud.
Oh, no, I didn't see
someone that she was directly involved with in some sort of a meeting. It's a cartoon, but it's trying to paint, I think it's a World Economic Forum thing. Is it? They're trying to predict this rosy version of a much more productive future if you just submit to letting the company that you work for read your fucking mind.
Yeah.
And the things that she's citing it's really fascinating, but she's talking about how much better her productivity is and she's getting more work done. She's much more focused because they know when she's not. And that this is somehow, you know that video? Do you remember it?
So I don't know if that China factory story ends up being true, but Farahani has a lot of other examples in her book of studies that have been done and what's possible. And she has this worry about this notion of cognitive liberty that soon we're going to have to decide if the right to privacy extends to our brain data.
Right. Well, we've already submitted to this idea that a company can mandate.
That is wild. That last
crazy.
part, if it extends to your mind.
Of course it does. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting thought process. Because a lot of the articles, because we've pulled up some articles of this woman, a lot of the articles are talking about how she wants to protect. And I almost feel like when I see these people talking about stuff like this, and she's positioning the conversation of, pretty much mental sovereignty, it kind of makes me think that as much as it seems like she's putting it out there, like as if she's a protector and questioning this, she's actually bringing the conversation forward to start happening. It's almost like a battlefield. Like once the question's there, now it's who's going to push against it, who's going to be for it. And it's like you just keep on doing that until more and more information comes out, and like positive information, until people actually start accepting it. I don't know. It's the same thing with the gentleman's name's Noah Ahari.
Okay.
That gentleman who the World Economic Forum, he was talking about algorithms being able to tell like what spectrum of gay or straight you are, and he's talking about all sorts of different things of that nature, tracking people, you know, putting things inside of people, all sorts of things. But he's always positioned as somebody who's like fighting for humanity. But it's like you're in front of the World Economic Forum having these conversations, and you're almost updating the world's elite on what's available to them to do to the public.
It's like an advertisement.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like an advertisement. That's perfectly said.
Infomercial.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It would be terrible if we put this inside of people. I mean, we would be able to track everything they do. I mean, advertisement would just be so much easier, and we'd make billions of dollars. And all these guys, they're just like, that's terrible.
Horrible things.
Write down his name. Get his contact information. But so what do you got on this whole thing? I know what I got here.
The guy who was speaking, what's his name again? Coleman Hughes?
Coleman Hughes, 2 last names.
Yeah. I always forget which one comes first. Hugh Coleman or something.
Yeah, right.
So he was talking about this, the lady, the author was Nita Farahani.
Yes.
And she is definitely concerned about kind of brain control and things like that, and she has a lot of comments about it. And as soon as I researched her name, like it was like the first thing that popped up was this article from The Guardian that's talking about TikTok is part of China's cognitive warfare campaign. It's like a whole big thing, and so she goes on and on about the factory side and things like that.
Yeah. So what, does she sound like a good guy to you, or is she a salesperson?
I think she's like a whistleblower.
Yeah?
Seems
that'd be
like.
nice. That'd be nice. Okay, good. That's her right there for anybody that's wondering. It's not a random lady I'm pulling up there. But here's the article you're talking about as well. This is the one, right? TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could definitely see this. A lot of people have talked about how, and I brought this up to you, how TikTok in China is much different than TikTok in the United States. In China, it is focused on engineers and academic achievements and being a productive member of society. And, you know, in America, it's about twerking.
Yeah.
It's about twerking and,
just
you know,
dumb dances.
Harassing people in public, calling it pranks.
Yeah.
And like things of that nature.
Things that do not help us in any way as a society.
Yeah, they don't move us forward at all. Whereas China's is like really bombarding the younger generation with like engineers are who to look up to, doctors are who to look up to, medical advances are good things, like completely different. So I could understand that. And just before you go on, there was a gentleman, his name was Yuri Benzanov, I want to say. I'm probably messing up his name, but he talks about how Russia was actually planning something like this at one point.
Oh, really?
And they're working at, he was like former KGB, and he was talking about how they're working at destabilizing the population of America. And he was talking about how they need destabilization, demoralization, and how it's like it's decades long, like this plan. And they're doing it through, you know, back then we couldn't tell what he was talking about. It would be media and whatnot. But now it's like through troll farms, like we just heard about, like how there's Russian troll farms, and all of these things are just meant to get American people divided, get them going at each other's throats, get them demoralized, get them destabilized, get them paranoid, and just have exactly what's going on today just everywhere. And he said this in like, I think it was in the 80s he said this.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And like now, today it's very much coming true.
That's nuts.
Sounded crazy when he said it, but not anymore. So what's up with this article?
It says a little bit later in the article, it's talking about EEG sensors. And I think when Coleman Hughes was talking about ESG, because I can't find at all what he means, I think he's talking about EEG.
I think so.
Which is just monitoring of brainwaves.
I think Rogan just doesn't know.
And he was like, yes, ESG.
And Jamie's like, I'm busy running the best podcast in the world. I have
Yeah.
no time to just check on every single thing you guys say.
No, it's impossible. No, but I think that's what they were talking about.
Yes.
So
definitely.
it goes on to talk about this company called Enertech, and they've sold tens of thousands of helmets fitted with EEG sensors to the State Grid Corporation of China,
Really?
which is a Chinese state-owned electric utility corporation.
Where does it say that in this article?
I don't know how to.
What's the first paragraph? What's the first word in the
It says
paragraph?
foreign biometric data.
There we go. I got it right here.
Yeah, so I'm reading kind of near the end of this paragraph.
Okay.
It says it can measure its workers' fatigue and other brainwave activities in real time on the job. Enertech has accumulated millions of raw EEG data recordings from the individuals across the world, along with personal information and device and app usage by those individuals.
Wow.
So it said they're like measuring their emotions.
Yeah.
So they know when people are getting like mad or tired or like frustrated, or if they're happy, and they can like see all those things based on their brain patterns.
Huh.
And so they're changing things like their breaks, who
Yeah.
they're with, the tasks they're doing to increase productivity.
There's always a good and a bad side to things like this. First, it's bad because you're wearing a helmet and your boss is monitoring your brainwaves.
Yeah, that's
the
crazy.
worst part. But if there was, like everybody has that person at work that's so annoying.
Yeah.
So I guess they'd be like, we have to get rid of this person because every time anybody goes near this person, they walk away
They all get
angry.
annoyed. Yeah.
So this guy has to
And
go.
then they all go to the water cooler and they complain.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that's the only like semi good thing that I could think of coming of this. Because that person at work could ruin your whole job.
Yeah.
They could ruin the whole thing where you're just like, I would love this if this person didn't exist.
Yeah. Just wasn't here anymore.
Yeah. I've had so many jobs like that. But you know what? At the same time, thank God for that person because I might have stayed places.
True.
You know?
If it was comfortable.
Yeah, right? So thank God for them.
Yeah.
Remember Josh? You remember him?
Oh my gosh. I do.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, he was funny.
He was the worst. he was the worst.
He tried so hard not to be too.
Oh, he was the worst. Oh, if you see this, you know who you are. You're the worst. Anyway, what's
Nobody
next?
ever thinks that they're the worst.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
No way.
That's why I had to say his name.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody else to think I was thinking of them. Just him. What's next on this whole thing? You want to actually play that video?
Sure. Yeah, the school one.
So these are the helmets that you're talking about, yes?
I guess so. Yeah, this is like EEG brain monitoring headbands.
So we were talking about the factory just now, yes?
Yeah.
And this is actually the school. So they've
Yeah.
actually implemented this. I'm going to play this as much as I can for you guys. But basically, these are a classroom of kids. This kid right here is going to get in trouble. This kid right here, head down like this. No.
Well, this is their meditation time.
Is that what they have?
Yes.
Oh, good gosh.
Well, they're monitoring their brainwaves during meditation time
Wow.
to make sure that they don't like stray.
Oh, well, that is...
It makes it horrible.
Yeah, it does. But
There's a good thought.
Yeah,
but-
it's good meditation in class. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's why they all have their eyes closed.
All right, let's
我的光芒绽放。
fun this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, of course it's China.
Yeah, because they were like promoting it like it would increase their grades
Yeah.
because they're helping them focus.
It-
And if they're not understanding, they can see it.
Yeah, exactly. And plus it's China. They're just like, we're kind of asking
What are they? Yeah,
you.
yeah,
But
exactly.
we all have M16s here. So. we're asking a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you say no,
Either you consent or we just take your child.
yeah. They're like putting it on the kids. You guys are good with this, right? Everybody's good with this?
Yeah, crazy.
If you're not, let us know. You can be on a list. Put your face on a billboard.
Yeah.
They really do that, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, when you don't pay debts or something, or you're just like a bad person,
That's
you
crazy.
put your face on a billboard. Isn't that wild? See, that's so interesting. Again, I'm never gonna speak highly of a dictatorship, but it's just funny how here, if you are twerking and you're this sexual deviant, or you're an ex drug dealer or anything like that, your face will be on a billboard and it will be praised. Over there, it's the same thing. But you're not going to be praised.
Yeah,
People are
no.
going to be like, this is the person to stay away from. This is not someone.
Yeah,
to
this is not part
praise
of good
and look-
society. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very interesting, the way that works. What else you got on this whole thing?
Well, did you want to open that the other article that you found
Which one?
from the Insider.
Let's see. Oh, yes. This
Yeah.
one?
China is monitoring employees' brainwaves and emotions, and the technology boosted one company's profits by $315 million. So this is what I was talking about with the like rage and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
They mention it in this article too.
Very interesting. $315 million it boosted it by.
Yeah. So they were saying like they even like would like send people home if like things weren't looking good, and they said that the employees were a little bit nervous at first because they thought that they could read their minds, and it caused some discomfort and resistance in the beginning. Of
course.
Yeah. And it says after a while they got used to the device. They wore it all day at work.
Yep.
As if they had a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
And they said that the employees' brainwaves can be enough for managers to send them home.
That's wild. So it's like when you say send them home, it's like not in a good way. It's like in a
yeah, that's not a
reprimanding
good
way.
thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
It says when the
terrible.
system issues a warning, the manager asks the worker to take the day off or move to a less critical post.
Where does it say
Some
that?
jobs require high concentration. There's no room for a mistake.
Where does it say that?
I don't know. How do you want me to describe it?
I don't know. It's the first word of the paragraph.
When the system issues a warning.
There it is. Boom. I'll always find it if you say it. All right. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. There's no room for a mistake.
Yeah.
Some judge. Wow.
So if somebody's not at peak concentration, they just either send them home or move them.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
See, and you know what the big problem with this is? This is the $315 million. That's going to be the thing that other countries point towards.
Yes.
You know,
they'll
they're gonna
just
be
see
like,
the increase.
You know, like I don't think Biden's ever said it. I know Trudeau said it years ago. He's like, I admire China and what they've been able to do, and it's like that's and actually, you know what? It has been said as well. Google actually said they're like, we have to acquiesce to whatever China wants because China will we have to keep up. They'll make the same thing as us, and we can't have that. So many places. I think it was Maxine Waters. I forget who it was, but they were like, we have to keep up with China. You know, we have to do this because we have to keep up. And it's like, why do you aspire? Like, why are there politicians who are admiring and aspiring to this dictatorship? It's like, you don't have to keep up with a dictatorship. It's terrible.
No.
Like, you don't have to do anything that they do. In fact, when you see them do something, you should be like, this is probably the opposite. We should probably do the opposite.
Yep.
You know? So weird. Weird. But that $315 million is going to be like, well, I mean, they're just making so much money. I mean, we have to keep up.
For sure.
We're doing this for American citizens. We're doing this for your safety, guys.
Huh.
We don't want those China people to have all the money.
Yeah, they're just going to start selling this stuff to other companies.
Yeah, right.
And then, I don't know, like figure out how to like put it in their name badge or something.
Oh, yeah. It's going to get...
So it's like not...
I already thought of, like, when he brought up the tattoo, right?
Yeah.
The tattoo is one thing. But as soon as I see anything like this, I mean, it's going to get smaller and smaller. I mean, how big did headphones used to be? I mean, at one point, people had to walk with a boombox like this.
Exactly.
And then,
it was like a
big things
Walkman,
like
too.
Yeah, and then you had the Walkman and your headphones were like this. And now it's like you can just have like little earbuds and nobody will even know,
You can't
right?
even see it.
So, and there's even glasses that have it. So this device is going to get much smaller eventually.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to be like, hey, listen, it's not going into your body. It's just going under your skin. That's how it's going to be sold. It's going under your skin. It's not even a procedure where we have to put you out. Just put some numbing cream. We're just going to make a little slit. Take 5 minutes. Feels like a needle. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And then eventually it will be like, it's just a needle.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. But yeah, what else you got on this?
That was about it.
Yeah. Me too. What
Proof's in
else?
the
I had some wild headlines. The Chinese primary school halts the device. Halts the device that monitors people's brain waves. So they were doing this and they've halted it for now. Also, what makes me think this, as I see this, is maybe they realize that China is like on the map for doing this, and they're like, let's just say we stopped it.
Yeah,
But
for now.
let's just still do it.
That picture even creeps me out.
Yeah, one hand on top of the other like
Yeah.
that. This picture.
It's like very controlling as well.
It's like the big brother.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you
This is what we do.
This is what you're thinking.
Yeah.
This is the correct answer. And then another one is the same woman here.
Nina Farah.
I'll have to look into her. I'll have to see it. Anytime I see people who are fascinated with stuff like this, I'm always like,
Why though?
yeah, exactly. Why do you want to be at the forefront of all this? Are you trying to help everybody? You know, like Elon Musk with Neuralink. It's like, are you trying to help everybody?
True.
You know, or are you trying to put Twitter inside everybody's heads? Mind reading tech closer than you think. It's a very interesting world we're in right now.
Yeah, it was interesting what Coleman Hughes was saying too, like the extrapolation of that data that you're getting from the EEGs.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about like, oh, like now you know when a person thinks that they feel hungry, like what that brain signature looks like.
Yeah.
And you can use those things to ultimately read people's minds.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so weird.
It's interesting.
Because like emotions are one thing, but then what they can do with it is totally another.
Yeah, and it goes along with what Noah Ahari was talking about. Because Noah Ahari was talking about this in front of the World Economic Forum so long ago. Oh, Candace Owens was on Bill Maher. Gonna have to cover that. Oh, that was probably a wild episode. But Noah Ahari was talking about all of this stuff so long ago, and it didn't make sense what he was actually talking about until you start to hear about technology like this. And now it kind of makes sense. As he was saying, because he had this whole thing where he's talking about algorithms, and algorithms are going to start tracking your eyes, and they're going to know your blood pressure and this and that, and they're going to know when you look at this, and they're going to be able to send you an ad. And it's so funny. He was saying you might think you're straight, but they have the data that shows like, oh, you got this way
You
when
have
you
like
saw
5%
a guy.
whatever.
Yeah, so they're gonna show you an ad with a guy in it versus a girl in it, and
weird.
this and that. Like they're gonna know you to that extent, and I just think that's not necessary.
I was thinking about the Apple Watch too is now allowed to do like ECG readings for like heart health.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah,
how long would it be until they are able to do EEG like brainwave readings?
well, I mean,
Like I know it's not right on your brain, but
yeah, no, you're right. And how do you know it's not doing it already?
true.
You know, it could just be data that it's just not showing you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
Especially because they had to like go through a bunch of hoops for the ECG reading.
yeah,
They had to get like signed off on by like medical whatever in the government
yeah,
to be allowed to say that they can do that.
yeah,
So it's like who knows what was looped in with those
right.
agreements.
And you know what? You know what it really goes back to? We were just doing an episode about Nikola Tesla, and Joe Rogan was talking about his dream with all the Teslas or whatever. How do we know that when it comes to, like, I got a watch on like that? How do you know when it comes to these watches, they haven't really worked that out? And, or, you know, when it comes to your phone, that they haven't worked that out, and somehow wirelessly your phone is connecting. You know, same way Nikola Tesla figured out how to wirelessly connect a light bulb to electricity. Like it was just like on without touching anything.
Yeah,
How do you know they haven't worked that out via phones? And like that's what's happening to us now.
true.
You know,
Never know.
we got to do that episode on the patent of, you know, when people think things, ads come up. When you think a certain thing,
That's a patent?
check that out. I don't know. I should see if it's a patent. Check that out though at home. Think about something and don't say it out loud, and just think about it a lot.
Yeah.
And see if it pops up on your phone. Don't type it into anything. Don't do anything. Just think about it a bunch. See if it pops up.
That happened to me.
Right?
Yeah.
I think everybody has a little instance when that happens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I remember when it happened too because I was so thrown off. I think I was like sitting in the car with my sister. And I saw an ad and I was like, did I tell you I wanted to buy this?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about like home decoration and something.
Yeah.
And it was like an ad for Wayfair like bar stools came up or something like that.
Really?
And I asked her, like, because I was like so thrown off by it. I was like, did I tell you that I wanted to buy these?
Yeah.
And she's like, no.
Very
So I hadn't
interesting.
even like discussed it, and it was just right there.
It's very interesting to think about all that. I don't know, guys. But that's it.
And that's it.
That's all you got. If you
Yeah.
haven't liked the episode already, like the episode. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. Making 1 to 3 videos a day. It gets hard to keep up. Hit up IamCoachColin.com. And other than that, I am out.
Bye.
We are out.
Yeah.
We.